So I am continuing on the topic of discernment and restraint. And we're referring to a sutta, a Pali sutta, um, called the Panha Sutta, which is the sutta on discernment or wisdom. And it's part of a collection of suttas called the Anguttara Nikaya. And I bring that in because I found an interesting quote about these suttas, that these suttas are in general about people and not reduced to a mere collection of aggregates or elements or sense bases. They're really looking at people as real centers of living experience, engaged in a heartfelt quest for happiness and freedom from suffering. And I felt like that was a really nice description of these suttas, because some of the other suttas can be very um, linear and take things out and kind of decompartmentalize, and you forget that there's a real person that's doing a practice. So I had a kind of that was then, this is now experience with that statement, because I hear and see Dharma taking hold in these small groups of a fabric of small communities, intimate Dharma groups, either leaderless or by lay teachers, mostly women. And that's the way I would describe us, as a Sangha engaged in heartfelt quest, doing reflective meditation practice together. So that's one way I think of us often. Now, a few scholars and translators have also talked about early Buddhism as a time period, which would be similar to what I'm describing, small groups of people that got together in a heartfelt quest of practice before it became more organized, like an organized religion, like that trajectory, or something that's more loose and community-based becomes overly structured and overly organized, dogmatic, rule-based, or popularized. So I feel like sometimes we're a bit in this spot where we have this early Buddhist leaning of small communities, intimate groups that are practicing together, yet we still have the challenge of how to continue, how to grow, how we want to do that. So back to the sutta. The sutta is giving 8 conditions that lead to acquiring of the as yet unacquired discernment that's needed for the holy life. And that's I'm taking two of the 8 today. So I'm going to read it. The first, actually, this is the 6th one that I'm starting with. So they, meaning us, live with energy roused up for giving up unskillful qualities and embracing skillful qualities. They're strong, staunchly vigorous, not slacking off when it comes to developing skillful qualities. This is the 6th cause. So I don't feel that way today. That's what I'm going to say. And I'm choosing this because I actually feel the opposite. I need a reminder of energy. I'm really fatigued from driving long distances. If we want to visit family or friends, we have to drive. And I almost feel like I'm back at the days of the pioneers, where I'm in a horse and buggy, because it's an ungodly amount of hours on the freeways in Los Angeles. And there's so much tension. There's so much tension within me and my body, within my husband. When I look at the faces of other drivers, I mean, at times really there's fear for our lives with the risks that people are taking driving the freeways. And it's not just that, but when I'm in this frame of mind, it feels so dominant. It's hard to get out of seeing traffic this way. So I've come to a point where I really have to find another way to do this. I feel like me and my husband, myself, I'm on a steep learning curve. Unless I want to just sit at home and do online retreats all the time, which, yeah, I do, but not all the time. And I do have a retreat coming up at the end of the month. I hope you'll join us. Um, but our practice isn't just being with our inner world. It is bringing our inner world to the outer world, into a world with others. And we can't abandon that any more than we can abandon the others we care about. So I'm choosing this passage when I particularly don't feel strong or staunchly vigorous, and I want to slack off. Though I don't really use those words. Those words are so inadequate for me. And it represents a different kind of speech than what I want to use even. Both sound very masculine to me. They also sound, the sutta was written by monks, but they also sound very young. I remember being called a slacker or using the word slacker as a teenager. This is like not my kind of adult language. So here comes the restraint. I'm not going to go further into all of that. And you're not going to get every detail of my drive, my 8 hours of driving. And I have other resources for those. I have friends. I have another journal that I talk to myself in. If I needed a therapy session about it, I could. And also that there's others who live near me who struggle with this, the way our world has gone living in LA, in a larger metropolis, and really knowing that the dukkha of driving is real. Like I really need somebody to talk with that understands this. This is really a strain on my relationship, on my body, on the way I'm growing. I can't move. And knowing that I moved further from family and friends, this is going to be something that's in my future that I have to deal with. So the other part is that I want to find the Dharma in this kind of mundane situation. And it brings me to another condition that's talked about in the sutta. So this is it. It's when they are in the midst of the Sangha, they don't talk on and on about a variety of things. Either they speak the Dharma themselves or invite others to do so, and feel no disdain for noble silence. This is a 7th condition. So it's really what we do within our stories and our experience and our practices. We bring it back to trying to find the Dharma teachings within our situations. It's been easier to spot over time. At the beginning, it wasn't so easy to spot. I could only point to dukkha, 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 or impermanence. Okay, things are changing. But we're really looking at, the things we talk about here online in this practice. Where do we see the teachings arise? And even if there are only a few more teachings that we know or understand, that we can start to see them in our experience. And yesterday felt like a real reminder of dukkha. And in the midst of dukkha, I was able to remember, what are the things that I did that calmed down the situation? What inflamed it? Right now, my assessment is a pretty even score. I kind of did some of both. But I'm able to articulate the situation to myself. And it's still with me. I haven't abandoned it. It's still part of my practice. In fact, I'm making a Dharma talk about it. So that's the kind of discernment I want to bring in, is that often when we need the Dharma teachings are when we start to know them. We start to look for them. That's when we can integrate them. And that it's oftentimes when I feel like I can't do that, or I forget it, that a Dharma teaching will start to work with me. And I'll say this today, the day after a very long drive and a lot of tension with my husband, that this is only one day in my life. And I'm willing to really look at, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how it's going to go. Something new will have to develop. So these are the questions I have. If I don't have the energy today, does that mean I'm slacking off? Sometimes it can, other times it can't. And then this phrase came to me, just the phrase that I want to end with. How long does it take me to get back on the horse? And did I really get off the horse? Again, another metaphor that I grew up with, which feels particularly male, and also I never had ridden a horse by the time I was given that metaphor, but I do know what it means. I mean, do we really get off the horse? So, okay, I'll end here. And we'll have a shorter sitting today. We'll have 20 minutes and then 10 minutes for